Oral tradition is one of the things I grew up with. My intention was to learn as much oral tradition as I could, and I found that also once I learned about that, then I'll go to the next step, which is to look at the other side, which is the written side, which you read in books, to be able to balance those. The first mistake I made was to rely on written sources. When I was going to school at Regis, when I came to teach at the university in 1970, and by 1980 I began to realize that I'm going about the wrong way. I should be able to set the oral source as the foremost. I've been doing the other one, written source. That's because I couldn't find any written sources back in, so I switched the other way, and I found that oral sources also leads to interpreting words. Semantics and etymology, which is look at the root words. And there you can find the true meaning of it. So that is what we're looking at, integrating that oral tradition. And oral tradition also leads to winter counts. Pictograph writing is the way that we educate. And there's 1,000 words in there. You look at that, and so pictograph writings were the source of telling events, but also is for telling one's age. So winter count originally spiraled out. So you take the last one and you count down how old you are. And then you recognize the event that 100 horses were stolen from crows. That was the day I was born. And that's so. And also you better be careful with the winter counts as part of oral tradition, because sometimes the news passes slow. But one thing that we figured out is if you match them with phenomenal events, like the Halley's Comet, you can fix a date there when the stars fell. Then you got the date. You can also date all the ones before and after. And the winter counts are powerful because they can also tell a weather change within our tribes. If you look at the oldest calendars, Brown Hat did one that goes back to 1770s, in American or 1600s. From there you can track what happens in the events, and you can put together, like the certain people led his tribal members in bands against Assiniboines. And if each of the winter counts say the same, they know there's a war. And the war that fought around 1680 to 1700. So if you isolate, put them, they know there's a great war at that time with the Assiniboines and the Cree fighting northern divisions. In the southern division, you find an intense war with the Omahas, which would bring in the Rosewood and the Oglalas. So those tells of events that happen. And you could take those and match them with the dates, the expedition of Lewis and Clark, and you know when they arrived, and we can set those dates. There's also some real sophisticated things in oral tradition, is star knowledge, looking at what the stars tell, like the emergence of the Chinchasha Ipuje, which is the dried willow constellation, will conjoin with the sun. They said it happened 1616 BC. So we put on computer, tracked it on 1616, right on. So we realized that and the ceremony stemmed from there. So oral tradition tells that. We're trying to figure out. The elders said the Sundance began a long time ago when the sun entered at Matotipla, which is the Devil's Tower constellation. When they tracked that on a computer using the observatories, they found that was 3,600 years ago, in the 1980s. So it gave us a way of now pursuing the ceremonies that begin. So next month the sun will enter the Harney Peak, with a 7 little girls constellation, and we know that those ceremonies will begin. And how do we know that? Vernal equinox, when the Chinchasha Ipuje, or dried willow constellation, it starts coming up from the horizon, and the sun will follow it. It's a heliacal rise, we call it, which means the sun will blot off in a matter of seconds when it comes up. So you have to know the position, And when it sets, we know it follows. So we know in the midway, that's where it crosses. So things like that are medicine are taught. So those oral traditions were used to rebuild ceremonies that we do today. So oral tradition is powerful, and it's no different in the non-Indian world of the floods. Of Schliemann's discovery of Troy. He read Troy in Homer's stories. Eventually, Homer gave a detailed information about the terrain and geography, and that's where he went. And not only covered 1 but 10 cities. That's powerful oral tradition. And when they date them, it came to date when the walls matched 4 chariot, the width of them. And that's Troy. Whether there's fought over a woman, we don't know yet. But they talk about that too. But again, those are some stuff that we look at. And one thing also notice in oral traditions that our people are way ahead of non-Indian curve in asking where they originated. So they said, let me think. Anthropologists said 10 years ago, 10,000, and no one knows. But when you ask a Lakota, a traditional grounded one, where do you come from? Wind Cave, the Black Hills. They won't tell the day that because the date is the time when humans were being informed. So that's powerful that everybody knows where it come from. So oral traditions, sometimes we can build on that and be able to, out of that, to bring out the things that match the scientific studies. So I'm locked on it now to look at oral tradition and written sources, try to match them as close as you can, and use strength of oral tradition that way. And then you also will qualify on the non-Indian side because you have reference. So today we're now engaged in oral sources matched with the written. And now we're beginning the course of citations, which the non-Indian world understands only when you write books and history. They understand that. Without that, they'll throw you out of the building. But it's really interesting because when I start working for university, St. Nicholas, we were not a college unto ourselves. We were a satellite of Black Hills State. They took us in and gave us accreditation, but they said you have to use textbooks in your class. You can't use oral tradition unless it's backed up by text. So I couldn't say we come from Black Hills, quote, oral sources. They'll jump all over me. So when the Black Hills claim came and when we formed a bill for the restoration of parts of the Black Hills, star knowledge became important. Because remember I told you that they could prove by precession that our people came from the Black Hills 3,600 years ago, or 1616 BC. So where is that? That's written there. It's confirmed by writing. So in 1980, when the Supreme Court said that the Black Hills were taken, now must give compensation. In 1984, the star knowledge came. It gave us some strength in confirming our presence there. And the government said we were never there. You were there in 1700s. But by that we proved that. So now I was doing the break dance and backflip because now I can say that. I can cite the source. So that was really, to me, that was a high point that we're able to see oral tradition now overcome what they saw, what they dismissed as hearsay in the court.